I hope you all are doing well at your home. So class, मैंने आपको लास्ट टू लास्ट क्लास पहले एक टॉपिक कराया था ग्रामर में, अंडरलाइन द वर्ब्स, और उससे थोड़े दिन पहले मैंने आपको कराया था वर्ब की फॉर्म, मतलब 3 फॉर्म्स ऑफ वर्ब। तो आज हम दोनों का कॉम्बिनेशन देखेंगे, वर्ब फॉर्म्स एंड एज वेल एज जो मैंने आपको अंडरलाइन द वर्ब्स कराए थे उसका भी हम देखेंगे। तो लेट अस स्टार्ट ऑन द डीजी।
Verbs are doing or action words that tell you about a noun's action and the time of the action. Depending on the time of the action, verbs have 3 different forms: present, past, and future tense forms. Read the sentence. Ria.
So class, Ria plays in the park. अगर मैं आपको बोलूं underline the verb in this sentence, so you will underline the verb that is play. Plays, ठीक है? ये आपकी होगी verb की first form. Verb की second form play की क्या होगी? Played. Third form also be played. तो अगर मैं बोलूं कि write the second form of the play of the तो आप लिखोगे played. और अगर मैं बोलूं underline the verb in this sentence, so you will underline the play. तो play क्या है? आपका verb है. अब हम इसकी फॉर्म भी पढ़ेंगे इसके अंदर।
Plays in the park. In this sentence, plays is the verb and it tells you that the action happens now or in the present. So, it is a present tense verb. If the action happened in the past, the sentence would become, Ria played in the park. Here, the verb played is in its past tense form.
तो क्लास प्लेड क्या था आपकी? वर्ब की सेकंड फॉर्म थी पास्ट में।
And if the action hasn't happened yet, but is going to happen in the future, the sentence would be, Ria will play in the park. Here, the verb is will play, which tells you that the action hasn't happened yet. Let's learn about the different verb forms: present, past, and future. First, let's look at simple present tense verbs. Simple present verbs are used to talk about actions that happen now or in the present time. In the simple present tense, the verb form changes depending on the subject. Besides talking about what happens at the moment is in the verb plus. Ron passes Jack's house on his. Present tense verbs remain in their base form when they are used to tell you about the actions of plural nouns and the I, we, they, and you. For example, read the sentence. You study for your exam. In this sentence, study is the present tense verb used with the subject you. Here,
क्लास, अगर मैं आपको ये देती हूँ you study for your exam और मैं आपको क्वेश्चन देती हूँ underline the verb, तो what is that? Is study. Study, studied, studied. Study first form, studied second form, and studied also is third form. Okay? तो study क्या है आपका यहाँ पर? Verb की verb आपका verb है यहाँ पर.
study is in its base form. You'll use the same base form of the verb study when you talk about plural noun Kara and Danny. Kara and Danny study for their exam. Again, the simple simple present tense verb base form when the subject is the singular pronoun I. For example, I study for my exam. Next, you look at simple past tense verbs. A simple past tense verb tells you about an action that has already happened. Past tense forms of regular verbs are formed by adding a d, ed, or ied ending to base verbs. Remember that the past tense verb doesn't change form when the number and person of the subject changes. The verb form remains the same. Let's look at an example. Carol and Sam baked cookies. In this sentence, baked
क्लास तो इसमें आपका वर्ब क्या है? बेक्ड. बेक, बेक्ड, बेक. तो अगर मैं आपको अंडरलाइन द वर्ब बोलूं तो आप क्या अंडरलाइन करोगे? बेक्ड.
is the past tense verb that tells you what and Sam did in the past. Here, you add d to the verb bake to make it the past tense verb baked. Look at the table for more past tense verb forms that end with the alphabet D. Some verbs Tim and Danny study for their exam. Again, the simple tense, a simple past tense verb tells you about an action that has already happened. Past tense forms of regular verbs are formed by adding a d, ed, or ied ending to base verbs. Remember that the past tense verb
क्लास ये देखो, जो पास्ट टेंस में हम वो वर्ब लगाते हैं तो उसमें लिखा हुआ या तो डी से एंड होगा या ईडी से या आईईडी से. ईडी वाला क्या होगा? सबसे पहले आपका जैसे ईडी है तो मूव, मूव्ड, मूव्ड, मूव, मूव्ड, मूव्ड, प्लेस, प्लेस्ड, प्लेस्ड, डेवलप, डेवलप्ड, डेवलप्ड. आपका ओनली डी है तो और कुक्ड, कुक्ड. ठीक है, कुक, कुक्ड, कुक्ड. अब आईईडी वाले कौन से हैं आपके? स्टडी, स्टडीड, स्टडीड. ठीक है, तो कुछ वर्ब आपके ओनली डी से एंड होते हैं, वर्ब के फॉर्म्स कुछ आईईडी से और कुछ आईईडी से एंड होते हैं.
doesn't change form when the number and person of the subject changes. The verb form remains the same. Let's look at an example. Carol and Sam baked cookies. In this sentence, baked is the past tense verb that tells you what Carol and Sam did in the past. Here, you add d to the verb bake to make it the past tense verb baked.
So class देखो, move, moved, moved, ed से एंड हो रहे हैं. Smile, smiled, smiled, ed से एंड. Care, cared, cared, ed ended. Hate, hated, hate. Type, typed, typed. तो ये सारे आपके क्या हैं? हो रहे हैं.
Look at the table for more past tense verb forms that end with the alphabet D. Some verbs take an ed ending in their past tense form. Here's an example. Robbie answered the question correctly. The past tense verb here is answered, which is the base verb answer
watched.
Here's a table with more examples of past tense verbs that end with ed. For some other verbs, the past tense form is made by changing the last alphabet to IED. For example, forms. For example, Tony sang beautifully. Sang is the past tense verb that tells you what Tony did in the past. The past tense form sang is formed when the vowel from the verb sing is changed to the vowel A. Jenny made you that. But first, let's see how you would make a.
क्लास अब हम इसकी एक्टिविटी करेंगे ताकि आपको एक्टिविटी से क्लियर होगा जो हमने पढ़ा था.
Identify and select the correct verb form of the underlined verbs in the sentences. Vehicle at the traffic signal.
Vehicle stopped. तो stopped क्या है आपका? क्या आपका verb है और ये है आपका simple.
Well done. Karen loves her red umbrella.
तो क्लास Karen loves. ये क्या है आपका simple present tense.
Well done.
ओके क्लास, यहाँ तक समझ में आया कि आपको सिर्फ अंडरलाइन द वर्ब करने हैं और आपको अभी टेंसेस तो मैंने नहीं करा है, बट आप लोगों को ये ध्यान रखना है जो वर्ब है आपने उसको ध्यान से अंडरलाइन करना है और वर्ब की फॉर्म्स को भी अच्छे से लर्न करना है. ओके क्लास, थैंक यू क्लास.